Hello viewers, today I'm going to present a new project which is ASP.MVC shorten URL. So I'm going to create ASP.NET minimal API. Using this project we will create, we can get uh, big URL to shorten URL. So here is the small step. We will create a new project, ASP.NET Web minimal web API. Then we make sure the database connectivity because we store the URL information details into the MSSQL server. We'll use entity framework core, and then finally we write a main service. That service will process the shortened URL, longer URL to shorten URL, and we'll create just two API, post and get. So once we request the big URL, and that will return the shortened URL, which will be get. So let's start. First, I will create a new project. So here is my Visual Studio. Create a new project, and project is ASP.NET Web API, and uh, next. Let me just name the project is shorten URL API app, and the location is tutorial project. That is fine. And next, so I'm using .NET SDK 8.0, which is most latest version, and I'm not using the use controller, so it will be minimal API. We can write the get post API call into the program.cs file, and enable OpenAPI support. So configure HTTPS, and we do not need Docker for this small project. Create. So project has been created successfully. Here is our default project, and which is pretty simple. We have to organize the project by adding uh, get libraries and writing services. If we run this default template project, then we can able to just a simple one static data get API run. So weather focused API, if we try it out, execute, then we just list it default static data um, get API call, and we can get this data. We can check this data into a program.cs file. Here is all the data. Just one API get call API app.map get, and here is the method for processing the data. So this is the default project. Let me just install first NuGet packages for entity framework core and make sure the database connectivity, and just I will create one model, and I will add the migration, so that we can store and retrieve the API URL related information from the database. I'm just going to clean the program.cs file and remove the default API. Just app.run. So it's pretty simple now. Let me create first model. Add new folders. Shorten URL. The class name is add new class. Shorten. I will add 5 entities here. So model is ready. I will add one view model for processing in data. Add new folder, new VM, and new class. Shorten URL request and just one field, a URL. So our model is ready, and now I'm going to make sure the MSSQL server database connection string into appsetting.json file. Appsetting.json file just empty without, sorry, we don't have the connection string here. So I will add two connection string. First one is Windows authentication. Second one is SQL Server username and password. So let me just rename the database Dave. Dave. So I'll use, you can use any one from this connection string. So we have a ready connection string. Now I'm going to install two Nuket packages using the terminal. You can install using the package manager console, as well. So first one is Entity Framework Core SQL Server 8.0.1. So it is the command. Fully installed successfully. Yes, Entity Framework SQL Server installed successfully. And second one is SQL Server Entity Framework Core tool, also installed successfully. Tool and SQL Server. We have two Nuget packages for managing Entity Framework Core. Now I'm going to create a new folder which is data, and under that folder I will create application DB context data. Now I'm going to create a new class. Sorry, application DB context. I will extend DB context. So here is the default code for shorten URL. Let me just add the, sorry, we have to add some helper class. So let me add the helper class so that the error will be removed. Helper. The helper class, I will add one class which is shortening settings. Shortening settings. So length is 7 for shorten URL, and the alphabet for generating the shorten URL. Using this string, we will dynamically, by using the random number with the help of C# programming, we'll create the shorten URL code. So back to the application DB context class. So hopefully this time we can add the model helper. So length is added here, and now we have to add the model. We have already created model shorten URL. So here we have to add the model so that we can create the DB migration. Public DB set, and the class name is, this is for the shorten URL. So let me just copy. So we have ready app setting dot application db context. Now we inject this application db context into program.cs file. It is the program. So we have instance ready builder. Using this builder, we can initiate the database connectivity. So we just make sure the connection is string here. Mm, we just remove the null level. And we have just make sure the application DB context instance into program.cs file using the builder instance. Now I am going to create the DB migration. Uh, just using the .NET build. Let me just copy the .NET migration command. .NET Entity Framework for migration add initial create. So this is the migration command. Let me just remove it. So we can see migration created successfully. Now we can update the database, and update command is pretty simple. .NET Entity Framework database update. If database connection is staying right, then hopefully uh, only culture is invalid culture identifier. Let me check this issue. So I'm trying again the update command. Bit succeeded, but uh, let me just. So, anyways, we identify the issues. We have to just add uh, invariant globalization true to false. If let's see. So hopefully this time .NET build. Hopefully this time we can able to successfully execute the database migration update command. So entity framework .NET entity framework database update. So database update successful. So we have a ready database. Now we can create a service using that service. So we can create a service and two API call. We'll create two API. One is post, another one is get API. So before creating a API, I am just going to create a service. So let me just create one folder, another new folder. Name is services. Under this folder, I'm going to create shorten URL API, shorten URL URL shortening service, and new class URL shortening service. So in this class, we'll create generate Unicode and generate generate unique code. So I'm just adding the application DB context here. DB context. So this is our main method, generating unique code and generate code using the length alphabet. We getting the alphabet from the helper class, and length also we set the 7 from the helper class, and random number is using C# random libraries, and shorten URLs. We need to initialize entity framework. So our service is ready. Shorten URL, URL shortening service. We need to inject into program.cs file uh, using instance builder dot services add scope URL shortening service URL. So done. Now our main job is creating the post API into this program.cs file, because this is a minimal API. We are not using the controller. You can write the post get API details into program.cs file, make it a simple project. So after Swagger documentation, we can write to API. First one is app.map, app.map, sorry, map post. We need to pass the parameter here. What else? So our post API ready. Now we have to create just a get API, so that once we request the post API, then we can able to get the shortened URL. So we just write two simple API. First one is post, and second one is get API. So So if we explain this code, let me explain the first one, post API. So API slash shorten, if we call this API, then first it will get the unique code from the services. It will check the database code implementation, generate code, and if it is unique, unless until unique, it will just check. Here is checking the condition is code unique from the database. DB context or an URL as in pronounce is code dot s dot code equals to lambda expression equal to code. So getting the unique code here, we are just passing the code into shorten URL instance. We just create instance here. So ID, length, a code, and shorten URL schema dot http request. HTTP context request dot host slash API slash code, and created time is we are just passing the UTC dot now, and just saving using the application entity framework code, add and save asynchronously, and just returning the result. And this is the get API call. We are just getting the data from the database, getting the data. If it is now, then unless it will redirect to longer URL, because so if you hit the shorten URL, it will check, and using that URL, it will redirect to the longer URL. So our application is ready. Hopefully, if we run this project now, then if we run the project, then we can hopefully get two new API into the Swagger. First one is post and second one is get. So as I mentioned, so we have two new API. First one is post and second one is get. So let me just request using my profile, Code Canyon profile. Uh, Let me just copy my Code Canyon profile. Try it. URL interesting. So if we request this URL, then it will application will return me the uh, uh, shortened URL. Just base domain name slash code. If we execute it, then hopefully yes. So we get the response body localhost. So this is the base URL. This will be the main domain name xyz.com slash code. So if we copy and post into the new tab, hopefully we'll get the actual URL information. See, so we are getting the actual information here. So my profile. Let me check another URL. I'm just going to copy my GitHub link. So if we pass my GitHub link here, execute, we'll get the shortened URL. And if we hit the shortened URL into the browser, uh, enter, see this is my GitHub profile as well. So using this project, we can successfully create a shortened URL. So this is the complete project using ASP.NET Minimal Web API. So we just create two API into program.cs file. We don't have any controller. Just we create one model class. Sorry, this is the shorten URL one model class and data for application DB context connecting the SQL server. Just one simple service which that is generating the unique code and into program.cs file we just make sure the post call using the post call if it is we first generating the unique code and after if we request using that code we just redirect to the longer urls as we store into database. Let me just show you my database so that you can understand the studio. So I just open my SQL Server Management Studio. I already write the select command. So I already selected my database short on URL API app dev. If we execute, then we can get just two rows. I already request first one is my GitHub profile. Second one is my Code Canyon profile. Let me just call another big URL so that we can able to check the database. Updated database. I'm going to request like my another. I'm going to request net speed meter. My another desktop application. So try it. If we pass the big URL net speed meter index.pro version, if we execute, then definitely we can have a shortened URL. And if we hit into the browser, then it will redirect to the longer URL. To version net speed meter, and if we check the database then definitely we can have another new rows here net speed meters. So short URL code and the long URL which is actual URL ID and created at UTC. So this is the overall summary of shorten URL application. So this is pretty simple. I just try to cover everything in this video. So if I summarize this video, tutorial. So first, I just created the ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET Minimal API using .NET SDK 8.0. Then install Entity Framework Core required packages. We just install two packages. Then make sure the database connection string into the application.json file, and we just inject the application db context into uh, program.cs file. Just make sure the database connectivity, and we just create one service, url shortening service, and finally we just create two api map. One is post and second one is get. So I'm just wrapping up this video. I will share the complete source code about GitHub, and I will uh, share the project GitHub link into the video description. Please subscribe and share your feedback. Hopefully, see you in the next video. Thank you. Uh, Thank you.